Data, the new oil. Blockchain is data, and blockchain is for everyone. Let's give ourselves a round of applause, please. Growing up, my life was very hard. I come from a single-parent home with very little means to live. I was 9 in the year 2003 when we had without electricity for 1 whole year. I remember looking forward to that one meal we had per day. That kind of thing is not uncommon in Southeast Asia, sadly. And my mother, when she finally had the financial means to send me to school, she told me, Darlene, I know you skipped since you were 7 years old. I promised you that I will send you to school. And you waited for so long. Now we do have the money. I decided I'm not going to send you to school anymore. Whoa. I stayed in grade 1 for a long time when I should have been in grade 2. I had to find a way to educate myself. By the time that I was 16, most of my friends were already choosing prom dates. They were choosing their universities to go to. And I was still not in school. Imagine being 16 years old, not having the academic measurement for yourself. That was very, very hard. I did not know what future I could have. The first thing that I did when I was 16, I stopped using Facebook. I bought myself time I would use to study. And so I decided to get whatever I could with my hands on the internet. Can someone flash the slides here, please? I'm also there, thank you. I decided to get whatever I could get my hands on the internet. And because I had older neighbors who would play Counter-Strike and Dota, which is supposed to be on the screen, they were so kind enough to let me play with them. But I wasn't good at computer games because I didn't have money to rent in that internet cafe. And so I decided each time they would give me the chance, I would spend 2 minutes on forums to get good enough at these games. This is where I first heard about Bitcoin. There we go. Who among you has heard about Dota? There we go. How about Counter-Strike? Now I know your real ages. These are the forums that I went on when I was 16 in 2010. And I remember hearing everything about Bitcoin. I understood it in its principle and what it stood for as I followed the trail of information in contrast to what was being displayed on the news. I understood Bitcoin in a very disparate way, which means I don't believe anything I see on the news right away. But then remember the issue. I did not have my own fiat to buy Bitcoin. So then I decided the first step to getting into this is to try and become an entrepreneur. So Bitcoin was at the back of my head then, as I had to focus on trying to learn how to make something of myself, you know? And so for that period, I remember, okay, I like Bitcoin in theory and in principle. And from a very hard life where I grew up, it's very hard for me to jump into something right away. I know some of you resonate with that. And so when it comes to Bitcoin, I had to let it stand the test of time. And finally, when it was around the price of 9,000 to 10,000, rumors of big corporations were talking about potentially buying Bitcoin. I said, this is it. Institutional adoption is happening. This is my entry. This is my opportunity. I got in Bitcoin at 8,000. Blockchain is for everyone, which means anyone can get into this. To understand it, it takes effort and humility. To invest in it with a portion of your life's work, your hard-earned money, that takes a lot of boldness. And so what I wanted to bring forward to all of us here today is when we invest in all of this blockchain, it has to be an educated investment. Because if it's not, that's trading. And trading in most regions where we are right now, it's haram. I don't like to trade. But if you follow the right investments, this has a scientific, a technological, a market analysis. This is what's good when you invest. And so when you create also blockchain systems for your industry, for your corporation, to create that kind of software for your company, that takes foresight. It takes boldness. And that's what we're here to talk about today. A round of applause, please. Okay, that's right. Borrowing from His Excellency, Mr. GABRIEL ABED, Ambassador of Barbados to the UAE, said in 2018, for those in this room that are now starting off and don't yet know what's going on in this community or this field, to stop looking at these digital asset classes as just currencies. We need to look at these as the akin to the underlying layers of communication, information, and technology. To me, that's everything we see, hear, feel 10 years from now. That's how big this discussion that we are having for 3 days today. I love education. Raise your hand, please, if you also love education. I really want to see you. I love education. I like learning things before people find out about them. And following the fundamentals, I did very well for myself, almost accidentally. It's fun because people around me, like an 8-year-old who bought Bitcoin at 54,000, crazy. And also a 13-year-old who has AVAX. And my driver in the UAE who has Chainlink. My advisors who now follow my suggestions, they have the NFT game DeFi Kingdoms. It's very fun. This is what's happening now. But don't be overwhelmed. This is like learning a new language. You don't have to understand it overnight. Take care of your health and take your time with the education part, because a good investment is not going away overnight. So you have time. So when you go to a new country, what do? You pick up the basic language. So I want to point you to the right direction today. You can take a screenshot real quick. This is sort of the dictionary for programmers, developers. What's important in this field that no one talks about this way, you know? That's why I'm here. This language, I would skip for now, trading, because it doesn't tell you where the innovation is going. To me, that's good for maybe 4 hours or 4 years, to me at least. And this is how I spent my COVID pandemic. In 2020, I would read Reddit comments 8 to 10 hours per day. I took everything with a grain of salt. And with some research, I drew my own conclusion based on my principles and my beliefs that I read from scriptures. You can do that too. You can go down the rabbit hole. But honestly, there's a more efficient way to do this now. I have a routine. A smartphone routine is what I call it. I read the news on Twitter, on Reddit. I just time myself for 5 minutes, 4 times a day. Blockchain doesn't have to take over your health. There's a lot of information overload, and there's also a lot of misinformation out there. We're human beings, and if you put yourself through too much information, you're not going to be able to absorb it anyway. I never talked about Bitcoin until last year, end of December. Imagine knowing something so good for such a long time and holding it in. Nobody knew I had it. Nobody even knew I knew about it. And what I say here is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I only mention this to my close friends and family when they actually ask me. I don't impose my opinion until I wait until they're ready. So the fastest way I mention this to my family and my friends, this isn't official, okay? Who recognized this logo? It's AirDrop for the iPhone, right? Imagine 10 years ago, the developer told you on a white paper or an executive summary, a language, a narrative, a paragraph, and told you, this is 3 cents right now. You haven't seen it yet, but once the laptop comes, once the iPhone 13 comes, it's going to be worth a lot, this technology. And so my family got it. They understood it, that these currencies are not just charts, they're not just prices, there are utilities behind it. And so I saw 5 levels of learnings from my closer friends and family. This is not official, okay? I'm just sharing with you what I learned. What I'm seeing right now, the biggest gate to learning blockchain is through NFTs. And I'm very glad to be here. Thank you, Helicon. Another round of applause for Helicon, please. I'm seeing this as the biggest gate because, at least for my friends, they are more likely to adapt to trends and culture than they are to adapt and contemplate economy and the inflation. And when it comes to the common thing that I see again, the second point, if people don't even understand Bitcoin, it's hard for them to understand DeFi. And so what is Web 3.0 is what it does is you are in Web 3.0, it's pro-user. Web 2.0, it's pro-corporation. This is the difference. And so right now, what we're seeing is blockchain from a standpoint of DeFi, it provides people like me with the financial instruments without having to be ripped off by really big banks. There, I said it. So now, what I wanted to share with you is what I'm looking at today. First, I have to tell you the process in which I learned blockchain. The first thing I understood was Bitcoin, and through someone I learned from Reddit. He goes by the developer name SF. You know who you are, thank you very much. He taught me about decentralized apps, API, integration, token economics. The most important thing about blockchain. The third thing that I learned is DeFi, and then NFTs, and then interoperability. What I'm looking at today is quantum computing, which I had learned on my own, but I'm now getting some really smart friends to help me. What is quantum computing? Potentially, it will disturb blockchain, and no one's talking about it. This is why I wanted to be here today, because I feel like something like this is so powerful, only multi-billion-dollar companies will own it. Only nation states will own a technology like this. So let me tell you 2 things about Bitcoin before I get into evaluating digital assets. Bitcoin is, as a utility, it's a very good scarce store of value. 2 things. 1, don't invest anything you're not able to wait 2 to 4 years for. The second thing is, a lot of people get scared by the volatility. They get scared, they cash out. But if you really do need the money, it's okay, you can cash out. Just don't sell below how much you bought it for. And when it comes to Bitcoin, you can actually make another entry at any time. There's always gonna be an opportunity for entry. So if you need the money, if you need to send someone to the hospital, don't worry, just cash out. You can buy in again. Many of us here came today because of intuition. You feel that you have to adapt to blockchain, and that's commendable. Now, when it comes to investing, I couldn't take risks because I knew how hard it was to earn $20. That's why I think 3 times before I start spending anywhere. And I couldn't afford to make mistakes, so this is why it was very important for me to share with you what I had learned about blockchain. Duran quality law. 85% of any organizational problem is not caused by good people. The cause is bad systems. Blockchain solves this. It is more than just an investment. And this is what I wanted to share to everyone today, is to look at the bigger picture. And to do that, you have to understand the new language, at least be familiar to another country. This is not another universe, rather still another country, but it's still a language. So it won't hurt to read the dictionary like on GitHub. And for those of you who are already creating products in the space, I really encourage you to make sure people understand more than just the white paper. It needs to be understood by everyone around you. So please, if you're part of a marketing team here, if you are a developer yourself, find a way to make it understandable by everyone around you. Keep it short and simple, not too complicated, because that's the only way that we make blockchain inclusive. How do we evaluate digital assets? Now, I'm very excited for this part. This is actually my favorite part because I always say this: if I lost everything I had today, imagine sleeping with that kind of peace. I'm so peaceful with my life that if I lost everything today, I can make an entry in blockchain at any point in time. Because what I got out of blockchain is not the profit, it's the education. And so I am sharing this with you today. Focus on the process, and this is information that you can trust because I told you, I am giving you the same information I would to my own friends and family. First thing on my checklist is reputation. If the reputation is bad, I will not touch a currency at all. So for example, if my friend tells me, Darlene, what do you think about this coin? How good do you think it is, Isabella? I just go on Twitter and search it. I go on Reddit and search it. Discord, that's how you know. So it's very simple. It's like checking on someone new. The second thing is the technical working product. It's very important to read the white paper, and if you see information there that's not familiar, just go on Google or GitHub. Get familiar at least. I'm not saying that you should be a developer overnight, but at least know what you're buying. Ambassador program. There are many currencies in the top 5, top 10 that have a massive amount of speculation with very little actual utility. I'm not gonna say which one it is, but if you know, you know. So I'll be careful. But what is an ambassador program? It's like marketing. People get paid to make a currency popular. People get paid to shill. And people keep making things popular when they shouldn't be popular at all because they're so bad. And you have really good technology that are way undervalued. But because your ambassador program is behind, they're also behind on their price. And so, for example, I have a project that I really love. I love everything they're doing. They already have NFTs. The blockchain is already live, but they're just below 30 cents because they don't have an ambassador program or structure the way that works with the top 5. Third checklist, partnerships and integration. Long story short, this is a game of how many developers are gonna build on our ecosystem. That's the game that's being played in blockchain. And so when you have something like BNB integrating with Harmony, that's good because that means most people will get to build on both platforms. And what happened was it took Polygon 6 to 7 weeks for the coin price to reflect the integration we had with ABED. So these are the things, okay? This is the 4th checklist. Number 5, actual metric of usage within the blockchain. This is why NFT, play-to-earn games are so sustainable because people are actually using the blockchain every day. It makes the blockchain entertaining and fun. Everybody gets to use the blockchain regularly. That's what NFT games are very, very good for. Number 5, community engagement. Where innovation happens in plain sight. You can't buy into a stock for $20 and talk to the CEO. That doesn't happen. But in blockchain, you can buy with $20, 100 dirhams, you can go on Discord and you can hear from the whole team behind it. Imagine what that does for someone like me who wouldn't have access to a venture capitalist opportunity in the first place. Making 50x in venture capitalizing is not uncommon, but that doesn't happen to people like me, where I would still have to have a degree, I would have to climb through social networks, but in blockchain, it's all about the project. And number 7, lastly, the developer. The developer himself is very important because you have to work with someone who is doing the blockchain as if it's his life's work. What people don't know, once a blockchain goes live, and a lot of currencies are not live yet, when the blockchain goes live, you can't edit it anymore, there's no way. And so if a developer decides to walk away from that blockchain, who solves it? And everyone's hard-earned money is there. This is why it's very important to know the integrity behind developers. So, like I said, education. The next part is ego and humility. I spend 5 minutes every 2 or 3 other days on Twitter Spaces, and there are a lot of humble people there. Snoop Dogg, King Boo Boo of KSA, Baron Davis, Kyle, and Justin. He said, Web 3.0 is a multiplayer game, and money is made better with friends. Share insights and believe in the power of zero sum. When we eliminate ego, great things happen. Because when you no longer have that in learning, the humility, there's a threshold. There is a limit to what you can learn. Therefore, there is a limit to what you can do and a threshold to what you will profit, of course. And so I would encourage everybody to embrace humility at all times, because blockchain doesn't make us better than anyone. If anything, it's a responsibility to politely, calmly, gently mention what blockchain can do for all of us. Let's leave ego out the door. For those in our family, in our workplaces, strangers who don't yet understand blockchain, it's like our responsibility for us to simplify it to them, because that's what humanity should be about. We can't be leaving people behind. And if we're able to say that in a very polite way, eventually people understand. Blockchain is rare. There's no industry that's here today that's changing every minute, which means there is an opportunity every minute. The effect the blockchain has in your business, your communities, your country, your families, the person next to you, in this person's payments, routine, business, gaming, all this in the metaverse. It affects everyone. That's what blockchain is meant for. And if we truly understood this, we simplify it. And so I encourage all of us here today to simplify it and do what I'm doing too. I simplify it for everyone around me, my driver, the person who cuts my hair, the server at my favorite restaurant. I tip people in Litecoin, and you can do it too. Pay it back to those around you, because this affects all of us, and all of us here in this room. If we pay it forward by simplifying it, there's like a domino effect of education and humility. Most of all, blockchain enables us to have compliance, structure, and accountability. We want that balance and equal opportunities in our society. Let's take no part in endangering one another. Instead, for humanity to operate in a more efficient way. Less of our resources wasted on lost productivity and time wasting faulty systems. Freedom for people to make something of themselves. This is the message of blockchain. Previously, a person like me couldn't enter into big things like this, but now you have someone from Southeast Asia. I just press buttons, and now I'm able to 50x and be my own VC without having to have a degree, do the bureaucracy, and climb through social networks. It was an absolute honor to be up here today. In this room, there are people from around the world and all walks of life. But in the world of blockchain, there's no privilege, no advantage one holds over the another. Blockchain is a great equalizer. No matter who you are, where you come from, whatever your level of education, you have the same chance as the person sitting to your left and the person sitting to your right. I no longer look at my lack of education as a disadvantage, but rather a gift. To those who think they are hopeless and don't know people, this is our chance. I want to leave you with the word meek. The meek and humble shall inherit the earth, a brighter future. And with Web 3.0, we can all strive for humility, leave ego and greed out the door. I encourage authorities, agencies, organizations to not look at blockchain contributors as a threat. Instead, as partners to collaborate with, to find problems to solve together. The future is here. It doesn't have to be scary. We are here to work with one another. Blockchain is for everyone. Thank you.
Wait, don't. I always like to ask a question before we give our speaker an applause. You made fun of me earlier. You said, okay, boomer. Okay, and I'm not a boomer, pretty close. But is there a difference between generations and how they view blockchain?
Yes, 100%.
So give us some examples.
For example, you have a nephew who plays Roblox and Minecraft. You tell him, you know what? Your Roblox cash can be used to buy the groceries. That's what blockchain is. He's like, really? What if I buy a house? There. But if you ask like a boomer, someone older than you, they'll be like, that's a scam. Boomers, I'm sorry, and I know I'm close to a lot of boomers, so it's like this. Traditional thinkers, you see something, you believe in it. It takes time. You have to see it before you believe it. That's how boomers think. And they think it's a scam. But when they see it happening, that's the time that they believe.
So you think that the older generation has a harder time to adopt and to understand it?
It takes them years to adapt, mostly. Yeah. But there are very good boomers, my mentors, in fact. They're very good people. When you speak to them in a very calm way, and you ask them questions that lead to them inquiring about this, they form the right conclusion anyway.
Isabella, thank you so much. Now,
thank you,
give her
Ken.
one applause. Thank you very much.